this. Oh no, I can't fucking talk and do all this at the same time. Good thing we're not live, because that would be a real bummer.
Now we're live.
Oh, what's up? Oh, what? Huh?
What? Okay, viewers, just to give you the lowdown on what's happening tonight, we do have, hey Laura, good to see you tonight. We do have Jeff Hollander with us from Hairless Dog Brewing. However, he is joining us from rural Iowa, which is fantastic. We love rural Iowa. However, they're having some nasty windstorms tonight that have knocked out their internet. So he's joining from his phone in rural Iowa. The 5G doesn't work so well out there these days. So he is with us, but he's going no video to try to keep the audio quality as good as possible. And additionally, you may notice as like we ask questions, there's a little bit of a delay between our question and Jeff responding. It's just kind of part of the audio fun that is tonight. But we're excited to have Jeff on the show, and so we're going to make it work. So what's going to happen? All right.
Pleased to be here. Thanks, everybody.
So Rhett, what's H20? I don't get it.
That guy.
Yeah.
Rhett hasn't figured out how to do subscripts.
It's baby it's baby hydrogen.
Rhett, I mean, here's what you should be doing. If you're at the gym tonight of all nights, you should be just having a sixer of the Hairless Dog there while you're running, take in the calories while you're burning the calories, but no alcohol.
Love to hear
Dan's
that, buddy.
Here. Yeah. Dan's here. Brad's here. JVB, Rhett. The gang is all here. All right. Yes, it's a triple Jeff night.
I love it. I love that.
Jeff Q.
We were just talking about.
We
were just talking a little bit about how great Jeffs are. I mean, you've never. I think anybody who's on, in the room tonight. I mean, think about it. Everybody listening, have you ever run into a Jeff that you cannot stand? We tend to be pretty good dudes.
Pretty good. That Dahmer guy kind of threw a wrench in our.
Oh God! Thanks a lot, man. You just demonetized the show again.
I mean, that's kind of what we do every week. All right. P.S. Look at that. That's a beautiful looking glass of beer. Okay. Do you get that? You got that typed in yet?
I can't talk and type at the same time. I'm almost done. I think it makes sense. Jeff, you want to?
All right, let me take a look.
Yeah. Okay, there's all those beautiful comments. Water. Rhett's drinking water.
I understood what he meant. I was just giving him shit.
That's the first comment I saw. Congratulations, Rhett. Rhett is an exercise machine these days.
He is.
And JVB, thank you so much. It arrived safe and sound. Looking forward to that one.
You mean I wasn't supposed to use it to saute my portobello mushrooms?
No, man, you got a story. Put it on top of your fridge until the time is right.
Stand it straight up. All right. Okay. Let's get this over with so Jeff can get off his phone in his basement.
I have an early morning with Dick Cheney where I was invited to a hunting expose with him, and so the sooner I can get to bed, gentlemen, the better. So
yeah.
Stay behind him.
And it's a good thing you're drinking the non-alc stuff tonight. You want to be moving quick. Reflexes on point tomorrow. You're gonna want that. All right.
You can't outrun birdshot. Sorry.
You can't. No.
You just got to be far enough away.
Duck and cover. Okay. All right. I don't think we're getting to booze news tonight, Jeff. But but we'll just leave it in there.
Whatever. No one pays attention to the intros anyways.
This is true.
In the comments, let us know. First, hit the like and subscribe button.
Yeah.
And in the comments, let us know. Have you ever listened to the intro and then listened to the show and went, wait a second, they didn't talk about that one thing?
All the time. I get so many emails about that, Jeff. You have
I'm
no
so
idea.
Sorry.
That's all right. It's your fault, but that's all right.
You know, it's a great show. Just no follow through.
All right. Let's get the show started. Shall we? I think we shall.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, nope. I forgot to do one thing. Hey, at least I recognized it now. I need that. I need that. I need that. I need that. And then I need to not remove, add, and then go back to that. Okay, now we're set. All right, here we go.
At the sound of the tone, the official "We Like Drinking" time will be 5 o'clock. Commence consumption.
This week on episode 325 of the We Like Drinking podcast, we'll be discussing all the news that's fit for booze. John's going to try to make us look dumb. And we're binge drinking non-alcoholic beers with Jeff Hollander of Hairless Dog Brewing Company. So crack open those beers, uncork that wine, and let's get drinking!
Drinking!
Solomon getting all trickster on us, going all Loki on us.
My hair is so luxurious these days, everyone. That's the key. Ladies never tell guys all the cool tricks you can do with your hair.
It's Prel.
It's called, just stop washing it, wear it in a man bun for 3 days, see what happens.
So let's say cheers, my podcast drinking friends, and welcome to Happy Hour 325 of your favorite award-winning topical beer and wine education podcast focusing on fun.
Fun.
We like to have it. So make sure you never miss another episode of our brand of drinking fun by visiting welikedrinking.com/subscribe.
Subscribe.
We need to have a welikedrinking.com/hair just for Solomon, I think.
It was the confluence of all these things. My hair has never looked better, and here we are drinking some Hairless Dog. It's called synergy.
Yeah, man. So you've heard some of us talking. Let's find out who we're drinking with tonight. We're joined by our usual panel members. We have our California Sustainable Wine Growing Ambassador and recovering wine blogger, Jeff Solomon.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I need a haircut.
Our commercial brewer and snake wrangler, John Riak.
Yeah, I might get to do that again one of these days.
And I am your host and certified specialist of wine, Jeff Eccles. Now, our guest this week is one of the founders of Hairless Dog Brewing, the first brewery that produces truly 0.0 ABV non-alcoholic beer. Using their innovative production method, they are able to craft their beer without ever introducing alcohol into the process, where others brew beer and then remove the alcohol by boiling it out.
Yeah.
Hairless Dog Brewery currently creates 4 beer styles: IPA, Citra Lager, Coffee Stout, and a black ale. Please help us welcome Jeff Hollander. Welcome to the show, Jeff.
What's going on, everybody? Good to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for getting the beers out to us. It's been tough having them for this long. I am down to one left, so I thought saving one for the show. So excited to be there. Excited to have you on the show. Just to let our listeners know, Jeff is coming to us from a remote location tonight. So the audio may be a bit tricky, it may be a bit wonky, but we're going to do our best to keep it clean. And he has grounded himself and set to go. Is that right, Jeff?
As long as I don't have to keep it clean, like you said.
Yeah, there's no keeping it clean. Fuck that.
Okay.
I cracked the seal already. So let's talk about what it is we're drinking tonight. We are all drinking some of the Hairless Dog brews. Jeff Solomon, what are you going to be going with?
Well, I got to tell you, I had a fun, regret-free day just binging on these hairless dogs. So for lunch, I had the Citra Lager while I was pre-gaming with some chicken shawarma thighs. I had the non-alcoholic IPA, and now I'm cracking open the black ale. Would you believe it? 0.0% alcohol in this.
Say what? John, what's in your glass?
I have the Citra Lager.
Very nice. I enjoyed that one, I'm going to say. And I am going with the NA IPA from Hairless Dog. Again, all of these 0.0. None of this half-ass and 0.5 stuff, Jeff Holland. Right?
Oh, totally. I mean, to me, like, if you're going to make a non-alcoholic beer, it's have to have no alcohol in it. So, I mean, to us, 0.5 was cheating. And I was kind of like, I don't know. If we're going to do this, let's do it right. Let's make it 0.0.
There you go. Now, are you drinking some tonight or are you hunkered down in the basement?
So check this out. I've been staying with my parents for the last couple of days, right? And they're totally sweet about always making sure they're supporting the brand. So they always have so much of it on hand. So I had some earlier with dinner, and then they're always like, "Son, would you like another Hairless Dog?" And I'm like, No. I've had so many. I'm good. I'm fine. I don't need any more. But they're sweet about it. You know what I mean? Want to keep,
That's awesome.
You want to keep it going, and they're nice about it. But yeah, I've had a few already, and now I'm just doing water, my friends.
Excellent.
I'll go get one if it helps enhance the show, though. Let me go do that.
No, you're good. You drink. You know what they say? Drink what you want, man.
Oh, you know what? This is like an after-school special. I'm being pressured to drink non-alcoholic beer, though.
It's a very wholesome after-school special.
Yeah, next level peer pressure.
On a very special We Like Drinking.
Hey man, if you can't recite all the episodes of Schoolhouse Rock, you have to chug it.
Guys, maybe I should cut back tonight.
Your hair?
Yeah, right.
So you can find more about Hairless Dog Brewing by visiting the website at drinkhairlessdog.com or follow them on Instagram at hairless_dog_brewing. So fun Instagram page, very nice, very well put together website. I have to compliment you on that. But let's taste these up. Jeff is going to raid the fridge. He's going to be shotgunning Hairless Dogs here by the end of the show, I think. That's a really strange thing to say, shotgunning Hairless Dogs. I guess it goes along with him hunting with Cheney tomorrow.
I actually cracked open an NA IPA.
Excellent.
And so the Jeffs are drinking IPAs. But you know what's funny is I've always been a guzzler, a beer guzzler, right? So when I take a sip, because I don't know if it's my German heritage or whatever, I take a huge gulp. So it's like in like one sip, half the can is gone. So I'm down to half a can already.
John has the same.
It's a friggin' problem. I'm gonna tell you.
It's one sip, two sip, three. No, it's going.
Right.
All right, so let's taste these up a little bit. John, why don't you start with the Citra Lager?
Okay, so I've got this really nice pale golden thing, and the one thing that I had one of these before, about a couple days after our samples came, and I had it with. It was a tough day at the brewery, so I came home and I cracked open an entire bag of tortilla chips and a jar of salsa and destroyed the whole bag and the whole jar. And I had the Citra Lager with it, but I poured this 15 minutes ago, and the carbonation rising out of it still coming up, and it's still maintaining just about the amount of head you would expect on a beer at this point after it's been open and in the glass for this long. Certainly, relative to the name of the product, you certainly get some citrus notes in the nose.
Mm-hmm.
And pardon me, because I work in a brewery all day. We are redoing our menu and doing tasting notes for the public, right? I won't say my palate is shot, but while we use Citra hops, and this is really Citra hop forward. And the one thing I was kind of concerned about before tasting your product, Jeff, was whether the hops would do the job you normally expect in a beer, which is to provide you flavor up front, but to provide the contrast of bitterness against sweetness on the finish, and certainly get that. So yeah, there's this, for me, it's kind of like orange peel that I get in the mouth flavor of this when I first drink it. And then there's the sweetness of and I read your website, and it's not necessarily wort, but there's the sweetness of the malted barley, and then this nice bitterness that really covers all the areas of your tongue that you expect in a regular beer. So it's I'm a brewer. This is what I do for my living. So what do I say? I mean, it's more than I expected, and pleasantly surprised, even though I don't know, it does all the things. I wouldn't say all the things. Most of the things you expect yeast to do in a beer with hops that I don't get how you do it, dude. I want to know. It's just surprising to me, because yeast does a lot of things in beer besides make alcohol. It's a flavor component that people don't really give a lot of credence to. So that's my tasting notes. I'm intrigued.
Awesome.
I love it, dude. I was on the edge of my seat there. I was like, uh-oh, he's gonna kill us.
And so Jeff, before we get to the next one, let me ask you, because we have a follower of the show. He's a blogger as well, and they have an upcoming article about non-alc beers, and they're like, and he was saying the Hairless Dog was some of his favorite ones, but he made an interesting comment. He's like, you really don't want to think of them as beer. You want to think of them as like kind of the standalone product, as opposed to try and compare it to I don't want to say a regular beer, but a standard made beer. Would you agree with that thought process? Or do you think, no, this should be able to stand up to any other craft beer out on the market?
That's an excellent point. I think that certainly in our early days, we had felt that we were such a different product. We knew that culturally we would be identified as a beer, right? And as a Hairless Dog was meant to be a beverage that is going to taste like a beer and is going to emulate a beer experience, and it had to be delicious, and it had to be cool to drink. That's all we cared about. And I think as the process of making beer, and certainly non-alcoholic beer to the widest extent, it's sort of cracked wide open as far as the definition of what even constitutes a beer. There's so many ways, and the innovation behind non-alcoholic beer has come such a long way, where I think, to your listener's point, it does make sense. Where Hairless Dog, if you take it and you compare it against a full-strength IPA, you say, what, it doesn't taste exactly like a full-strength IPA to me. Well, I mean, there's a lot of reasons for that. There's also no alcohol in it either. So there are a lot of things that where it would just not going to trigger those same flavor cues. But where we really have tried hard is where your brain is going to have to do the least amount of work possible. And by that, I mean, we want to trigger certain flavor cues in the Hairless Dog experience to make you think, oh, I know what to do with this. and it instantly files it under beer. And you say, oh, yeah, this is a beer. In fact, in the early days, Paul used to make some incarnations, and I'd go to his house and I'm like, dude, I swear I'm wasted. And he's like, yeah. And he's like, no, man, that's your brain being tricked in that there's alcohol. It just is the flavor. I'm like, yeah, probably, right? Because my brain knows, oh, yeah, I've felt this so many times. This is normally what happens. I usually fall down a flight of stairs and wake up with my pants over my head. And this is how you're supposed to feel. So it's all based upon trying to create and emulate as close to a craft beer experience as possible. But to your listener's point, there is a time and place now where beverages like this can almost be classified into their own thing.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. All right, Solomon.
I gotta say, I really like that idea, and I like that approach, of thinking about things that way. I haven't tasted the black ale yet, but I had the Citra Lager before. When you get that 4-pack, I think it comes with 2 Citra Lagers, and so when we first got those samples, I actually brought that other Citra Lager to a backyard get together. So I had a couple of brews when I first got there. And then that last hour, when it's like I'm getting geared up to leave, but I'm not ready to go yet, I cracked open the Citra Lager, and it socially took the place of it. You know what I mean? Like, so much of just holding that beverage is just kind of, you don't know what else to do with your hands. And knowing that going into it, I think that really is the way to go. Folks know I'm also a big fan of the Lagunitas Hop Refresher, which when it first came out, a lot of people were like, this isn't beer at all. And it's like, well, of course it's not. But this is something that's an alternative to that if you're not feeling like drinking alcohol. And honestly, that's something that I've just, for the longest time, I've been lamenting to people. Sometimes my least favorite part about, as much as I love beer and wine, my least favorite part is the alcohol. Mm-hmm. It's tough to replicate some of those flavors without it, and without yeast as well. But I do think that these do a really good job of kind of playing that middle ground. Now, getting into this black ale. So when I first poured it, I had this beautiful head, and of course over time it's kind of falling down, but everybody can see kind of the high water mark in my glass right there. On the nose, what I noticed with all of them is there's definitely more of a malt forward play, which makes sense. You've got some unfermented maltose sugars that are in there. Beautiful dark color, and on the palate, this is my favorite of all three. Just on the palate, there's this real zestiness to this one. I really think that it plays well with what folks should anticipate is it is a little bit sweet, and it's a different type of sweetness just because of the profile of the sugars that are there. But there's this really beautiful, like, zesty component that goes along with that maltose sweetness. I think it's really well balanced. And I think this is one of those ones when you have a black ale, I think some folks might be going into it thinking that maybe this is going to taste like a Guinness or something like that, or like a stout. And it's not. This is definitely like more of like an IPA or a hoppy pale ale profile. But it's just, I don't know. It's like, you know what it is, Jeff Eccles? It's your favorite word. It's smooth, bro.
It is. Yeah,
it's smooth. Jeff Hollander, I really like this. This is wonderful.
I'm so glad you like it. That was actually the first brew that we introduced when we first started the company. Paul, my business partner, Paul Turner, and sort of the technical guy behind how he learned basically how to make non-alcoholic beer from scratch. He had a home brewing background, and when he made his black ale back in the day, his full strength black ale, everybody would come around to his place. I was his neighbor. I was a few houses down, and everybody would come around with their growler, and he'd like make 8 gallons or whatever it was. Everybody would fill the growler, and he's known for his black ale. So it's where we started when we made the first incarnation of Hairless Dog, and it was on the market back in at the end of 2018. Sorry, we decided we were going to put the black ale out on the market, see if anybody was going to go for it. So we approached a few retailers, and we said, we don't, here's the deal. We made this company and everything. We're kind of sheepish about it. There's no alcohol in our beer, and yeah, I'll try it. I don't know. I'll take cases, and then we'll get some more that sold out in the first day. Like, what?
Oh, wow.
They do know there's no alcohol in this, right? And they're like, yeah, you got to get us more. We'll take 10 cases. I was like, they want 10 cases over at such and such, and then they want it, and then somebody else wanted 10 cases, then 20 cases, and then I was like, dude, we got to scale this. But the black ale is actually where we really started, so that one is really close to our heart, and I'm glad you like it.
That's awesome. All right, so now the IPA, I've been sitting here, I haven't tried it yet, but I've been sitting here smelling it. How similar is the recipe to the Citra Lager? Do they use a lot of the same components or anything like that?
Yeah, a few. As a matter of fact, kind of a funny story. The Citra Lager. You can determine whether or not the story is funny or not. But story about it is, the Citra Lager was originally supposed to be, in our early days, it was supposed to be an IPA. So it was the vehicle for an IPA that, frankly, just didn't take the characteristics of the IPA after the statement of production was handed to the brewer. It just didn't work. We're like, wait, what happened? Like, I could still drink it. It's really good, but we'll call it something else. So the Citra Lager was actually kind of a hybrid IPA but we ended up liking it and making it its own thing.
That happens so often in the brewing industry.
John knows all about that.
It didn't quite turn out, so let's just call it something else. It happens all the time. We're not throwing it out. It tastes good.
So I definitely
just put new labels on it, man.
Exactly.
That's right. So on the nose, I get it's this interesting nose that I get in this, because I get the first part of the aroma. I get that hoppy kind of note, but then there's this kind of malt backbone that almost comes in on the nose as well. So yeah, it's a fun and interesting nose on the palate. And you're drinking this as well too, Jeff, correct?
Sure am. I'm almost done with mine, actually. 3 gulps.
Oh wow! So nice hop note right up front, and then there's almost like this. It's almost like an earthier kind of pine note on the finish. So it's not like super bitter hops, but it's more of a subdued kind of like a woodsy hop kind of thing on the finish. That's fun.
Woodsy. That would be English style kind of.
What do you get when you're tasting it, Jeff? What comes off to you?
I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, to be honest, I think I follow. To me, I wanted an IPA that was a little more balanced. I didn't want in your face hops. I didn't want I just wanted something that was just really even keeled. I know that when we crafted this with, especially the IPA world, because like the IPA segment is so like fragmented. You have this school over here that prefers it this way, this school that prefers it this way. So the consumer has so many choices in the IPA space. So for us, we just want to create something that was a little more balanced, that was maybe had some nuances that we found interesting. We have some people who are like, you know what, I prefer way more hops. I didn't like it because I guess there's really nothing we can do. We try to make something right that we feel that needs to be, that's balanced, interesting, and still has those nuances that we're looking for. But I agree, man. When you said woodsy, I got Woodsy the Owl, but I get what you're going with the pines. Okay, I get that too. Pine needles, I can for sure get that on the finish.
Yeah,
Give the hoots, don't pollute your palate.
That's right.
With bad beer.
So I definitely think you hit what you were going for, because it is a very balanced a drink with the hops and the malt and everything else. So yeah, I think you hit it right there. I think personally, my favorite is the Citra Lager. I think that was my favorite of the bunch that I had. Jeff, you like the black ale?
Yeah, big fan of the black ale.
Excellent. John, did you have a favorite?
I haven't had a chance to do any. I haven't had a chance to sleep in the last 2 months.
This is true.
John, if there were any night to double up, tonight's the night, bro.
So the peanut gallery is already asking. JVB is wanting to know. This was something I was going to get into later, but we'll do it now. Any national retailers that are selling this, or is it straight from you, local beer store? Where can people find these beers?
Love that question. So we're in all total lines around the country. We have a deal with Walmart right now. As a matter of fact, where they're rolling us out in a few states throughout the Midwest, depending on where you're at. You can always find us on drinkhairlessdog.com and order from us directly. And then we are working with distributors through, and obviously getting distributors throughout COVID was a bit of a challenge, but we did all right. We're growing our distributor footprint. So, I mean, if you are in an area where you don't have Hairless Dog available to you, we'll ship it right to you. You can just email us or just order it straight from the website. But yeah, again, we're looking for great distributor partnerships, but primarily focused on in the Midwest and then branching out to the East Coast right now.
Yep, I know you just got out into Colorado, so that's exciting. All right, so we've gotten through the tasting notes. We've got it out. Strangely enough, our brains are firing on all cylinders at this point of the show tonight, which usually isn't the case. So maybe we'll do well tonight on
wine, beer, spirit, or pop culture reference. I'm going to go around the horn. I'm going to give these folks a term. Someone's going to ask me to spell it. I'll think about it, but I probably will. And everybody's going to try to find out what I've picked is a wine term, a beer term, a spirit term, or some sort of weird John Riek pop culture reference. So this week's term is cachaça. Cachaça.
What a great word.
Yeah.
Eccles, let's start with you this week.
Again?
I know, it's like 3 weeks in a row, right?
Cachaça.
Cachaça.
Cachaça. Can you please spell that for us?
Would you like the Spanish, Portuguese, or French spelling?
All of them.
All right. CACHA Sadi A.
What?
You're wanting to know what Sadi is. That's the French. Portuguese is Sedia, and Spanish is Sedia. And it's the C with the little tail on it. CACHA, C with a tail.
Oh, yeah.
A.
I'm like, why are you saying Sade the singer in the middle of this word, spelling this word?
It's the sweetest taboo. Okay. How do you pronounce this one again? Because now you got me all messed up. Cachaça. Cachaça. Cachaça.
Yeah, I think you have to say it like that too. Cachaça.
Cachaça.
Come on, Eccles. Spit it out. Give us your answer.
Cachaça. All right, I am just going to punt on this one. I am going to say this is some kind of pop culture reference, and that this is a one name actor that of some off the wall esoteric Netflix film that John ran into this weekend when he passed out on his couch for 4 hours and woke up and is enthralled in this strange Euro movie that starred Cachaça.
Boy, she could shake her moneymaker, right?
That's
All right.
right.
Jeff Hollander, what do you think Cachaça is?
You know what? My gut reaction was that the word is too weird to be anything like. I'm like, it's obviously it can't be a wine term. But then I'm like, that's exactly why it has to be a wine term, right? So it's like, my guess is like some sort of fortified wine that's made with like sugar in like somewhere in Europe, and it's a sort of bubbly. It gets everybody really drunk and really sick. You know what I mean? You do just regrettable things. Makes your teeth kind of purple. Maybe it's the staining of your teeth from drinking like a fortified wine.
Solomon
Is
knows
that
all
possible?
about that. It is possible. Yes, it is possible. Solomon knows all about it. Okay, so Hollander says a wine term. Okay, what do you think, Solomon?
Okay, look. Before John Riak said anything, I was just like, whatever it is, I'm going to say it's the name of Eddie Van Halen's other guitar. But that's just a joke. And then when Eccles started talking about pop culture and he said like one named celebrity, I was like, oh, maybe it's like a soccer player, because they always go by one name, and you're talking about a pretty like not like you've got this place in Europe where all these different regions are combining here. To me, I kind of have to follow Jeff Hollander's lead, though. This reminds me of wine, just because as I think of what Spain and Portugal and France are kind of known for. And so I'm going to say it's probably some other, much like it's the name of Eddie Van Halen's other guitar. I feel like this is just one of the other names for the Cinsault grape variety. Cachaça.
I got to say, when Jeff Hollander started talking about it, my gut reaction was as a wine term, but then it couldn't be a wine term, which makes it should be a wine term. I definitely,
Yes.
The Princess Bride went through my head. Never go in when death is on the line. Okay, sorry, John.
Okay. Cachaça. So we had some winners in the peanut gallery.
The peanut gallery is all over the place, but a lot of them are going spirits.
They Googled it, so that's no fair.
Maybe they probably did, but I think JVB probably knew it. Maybe Kristen did too. Cachaça is a spirit made in Brazil from sugarcane juice, which is different from rum because rum is made from molasses. So, I'm going to have to give this to Hollander because he said wine with sugar in it. So we're going to have to give him that extra quarter of a point, and he can win this round.
There you go.
I like
what's
it.
the term again?
Yeah,
Cachaça.
Very well played, everybody. I agree. Jeff Hollander is the champion of this round.
Thanks, everybody. I love it. Have you guys? If you ever want to have a good time at the office and you want to stump some younger people, there's a game you should play with them called "Is it an energy drink or the name of a Beatle?" And I actually did this once because we ran into some people that didn't even know what they're so young they didn't even know who the Beatles were.
Wow.
Yeah. So we said, all right, here's the deal. You tell me, is it an energy drink or is it a Beetle? Ringo Starr. And then they said, oh, I've heard of this. Energy drink? No.
All right. When we run out of terms for our game, we're going to switch to that one. There, now we're saved. We're saved. All right, Jeff Hollander, let's get into the interview portion of the show. I just got to start out. I got to go. Origin stories. We like to hear the origin stories. So what drove you and your business partner to start Hairless Dog Brewing? P.S. I love the name of the brewery. That is a fantastic name for what you guys produce. But origin story time. So what brought you to Hairless Dog Brewing?
Honestly, we both sort of quit drinking about the same time. Like when I'm 46 now, and when I was in my late 30s, I had young kids, and I was like, I don't know, man. I feel like I kind of been there, done that with. And again, I'm not anti-alcohol. Our brand is not anti-alcohol. Just for me personally, I started drinking NA. And ran into Paul sort of reconnected with him at a holiday party, and I was the only one. I had like a sparkling water with a lime in it, so it looked like a gin and tonic, so everybody would leave me alone. Because of course, when you're not drinking, everybody needs to know why and what's wrong with you, right? But so anyway,
Right.
we were at a party, and we were like, yeah, dude, I heard you. Did you quit drinking too? And he's like, yeah. And we're like, how are you liking it? Oh my gosh, I sleep better and da 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 da. And again, this is for us personally, and our best friends are drinkers, and we don't. Everyone we love drinks, but just for us personally, we felt better when we did. So we were talking about the gold standard in craft or in non-alcoholic beer, and we're like, to us, there weren't really anybody doing anything interesting, and the ones that were doing, making non-alcoholic beer, it was still 0.5, and I was like, why does everybody do that? Well, they're limited in the way that they can make it. They have to boil the alcohol out. It caramelizes the grains. It kind of and that's why they're limited into the styles they can make. It's like, what if we started from scratch? What if we just started a new way of making non-alcoholic beer? So he tore into it. We had coffee, and he started looking at, just journals on how it had been done, how not to do it, and all that. So much trial and error, and then we were like, all right, we got to do this. And next thing you know, we were on the market. It went pretty fast. We were, and we've been growing ever since. The Hairless Dog was born out of an idea that we wanted to be loved for what we were, not for what we weren't. So we want people to love the beverage first, and the fact that there's no alcohol in it second. But yeah, to us, there just wasn't really anybody doing anything interesting in the craft NA beer world.
And I think that's such a great way to go about it too, as opposed to trying to, be something you're not, to say, hey, no, we're going to embrace the no alc thing and try to make the best product we can. I really like that. And you talked about how, you sold out immediately. And so as you've scaled, can you tell us who are the biggest consumers of your beers, and have there been any surprises by what, population segment market you're making inroads into, or what can you tell us about who's drinking your stuff?
That's a fascinating. The answer to that, I was in fact very surprised. So I did expect to see a large swath of our demographic coming from, maybe 45 to 55, beer dads, right? And people like us, frankly, and big chunk of our market. But what I did not see is the growth of younger generations. Millennials are cutting back in their alcohol consumption drastically. And on my old company parties, it was always really interesting because everybody, and again, I'm not throwing age as assuming everybody is like this or whatever, but it just tended to see the people in their 40s and so forth would belly up to the bar, right? And everybody under 40, 30s and whatever, they were outside vaping. You know what I mean? They don't have the same relationship with alcohol that my generation did. Something became, and what's fascinating in the demographic is we see a big opportunity of expansion in younger demographics. We see, millennials that are trying to raise families and work hard and go out and save save up to buy a house and so forth. And this is sort of the mindset of trying to get ahead and stay healthy is a huge part of it. That people are just more mindful about what they're putting in their bodies than ever before. And it's just it wasn't so prevalent in previous generations, but we're seeing a lot of growth coming from younger people.
Excellent.
You know what I was just thinking about, and I was tempted to ask, earlier when we were doing the tasting, you talked about how you can ship to all 50 states. You've got distributors all over the country, and then all of a sudden it hit me. I'm like, oh, wait a second, this is a non-alcoholic product. Like, do you have to deal with the TTB at all?
No, in fact, the TTB regulates products that have been previously fermented and de-alcoholized. But here's the kicker: we don't actually create alcohol in the first place. So, like to the point you were making earlier, Jeff, in the intro, since we never create alcohol in the first place, there's none to remove. So we're not a TTB regulated product.
That is so cool. And so you don't have to deal with any of those like weird archaic laws, like moving from one state to the next. That's got to be, if anybody were looking to like get it, they were into drinks, but they wanted to have an easier time actually getting their product out. Maybe that's the route right there. But man, I think that's so cool. The other thing that I thought was really cool too, I was on your website earlier, and I was reading through just the reviews that individual consumers were leaving, and the stories that people were leaving on your site, specifically talking about why they don't drink alcohol anymore. And there's a lot of reasons that I think a lot of folks, especially our listenership in general, maybe don't think about as much. There's a lot of folks where for health reasons, and I'm not talking about I'm trying to be healthy so I'm drinking less alcohol, but like based on my pre-existing condition, I cannot drink alcohol anymore. And I think it's really awesome to have some sort of alternative like that, knowing how, prevalent and pervasive drink culture is in our society. It really is a way to make things so much more inclusive, and it's not the exact same thing, but it is the exact same cultural experience, and I just think that's wonderful. I don't know if that's a question at all. I just wanted to say, like, things I think we talk about how, alcohol stimulates our thought process and lubricates these conversations. But I gotta say, you've taken this whole concept, flipped it on its head, and it's got me thinking about everything. Guys, I think I'm quitting the show. I think I'm non-alcoholic.
You're right, Solomon. It wasn't a question.
But
We're still waiting for one.
That I love that statement though, because you bring up an interesting point. Paul and I have always been fascinated as to, and something I think you had said earlier, you took to a grill, like a grill party, and you socially it did the job. We had always wondered how much of alcohol consumption was actually around needing to hold something in your hand, right? So what is it about the repetition, and what is it about why do you have to have something in your hand at when you're out with friends and so forth? And we couldn't decide how much of it was that. And the previous non-alcoholic options out there, we felt were like, you haven't lived until you've taken like one of the old school NAs to a party, dude. You can suck the air out of that room so fast because everybody is judging you, and everybody's like, that dude messed up somewhere in life.
Right.
Well,
it's not fair. It's kind of like, you don't know what's going on, but there's sort of this judgment going on and this shame, and we're like, dude, we're gonna make our brand cool. And then we're not going to apologize. We're not going to be like, oh, I'm sorry, I owe you an explanation for drinking an NA. And we were kind of like, you know what? the whole thing has to be flipped on its head, exactly like you said. It has to be bold. It has to be unapologetic. The flavors have to be over the top, like our favorite craft beers. And we're going to give the people that have not had like a quote unquote real beer for a year or 10 years or 5 months or whatever it is, or maybe they're an expecting mother and they need something like that, and we want to give them something. And when we did that, though, to your point, all the comments that we got and people from around the country saying thank you. One dude was like, listen, man, I hadn't had a beer in 25 years and I felt weird going to my daughter's wedding, but I had Hairless Dog in my hand the whole night and I felt normal. And I'm like, you know how cool that is? And like pregnant moms would always come out and hug Paul and I out at when we were doing tastings like back in the day. They're like, oh, I love you guys. Thank you for doing what you do. I just wanted to meet you. Stuff like that. And I mean that the desire to do good work and make people feel like they belong, dude, that's the really powerful stuff that we love.
Yeah, Kristen in our chat has had multiple comments of wishing that this would have been around a year or so earlier when she was pregnant. And I've seen multiple comments about pregnancy in here. So John, you've been dying to ask a question. So,
well, years ago, I read an article that, in large groups, and whatever it is, people don't trust people who don't drink, especially in large gatherings, because either they think those people, and this is, I don't care, to me personally, but they think either the person is some sort of control freak or making a judgment about people that do drink alcohol. So therefore they're doing the same thing to those people that they're afraid other people are doing to them. And I just think it's silly. Whatever. I mean, I'm a brewer. I don't drink beer every day. I drink beer twice a week. I mean, the job's too hard to be hungover,
right,
5 or 6 days. But my question was that highly hopped beers, when you package them, there's a process that happens. It's called hop creep, where the hops actually instigate fermentation in the can. Is there something you do to prevent that? And it's because there are diastase enzymes in hops to some degree that can precipitate or instigate fermentation. How have you guys thought about that, heard about that, or addressed that, or experienced that in any way?
Not that I've seen. I mean, dude, that's a great question. I'm not on the technical end. I will admit that my background is in sales and marketing, so I'm definitely not the guy to talk to about that. I will say though that when we brew our beverages, we use way more science than I expected we would ever have to. While I personally, that's a new phenomenon to me. Our team, I'm sure, has heard of it and is aware of how we can get away with preventing it. But one thing that you wanted to say, or one thing that you said that I thought was fascinating, was that people don't trust people that don't drink, and that's okay. I think it's okay. But I think that's explainable but one thing that's fascinating to us is that it's the only thing that you have to explain why you don't do. Right. So if somebody offered you a cigarette, and I'm not comparing smoking cigarettes, which are proven to kill, and alcohol, which, I'm not comparing the two, but just using an extreme example. Somebody offers you a cigarette and you say, no, I don't smoke. They don't ask why. If somebody offers you a frigging glass of milk and you say no, they don't ask why. But if they offer you a glass of wine and you say no, then why? They have to know why. What happened to you? So I think that speaks more to our culture. I think that alcohol gets a pass. And again, dude, I am not against alcohol because I think that it is, it's fun. Let's just be honest. There are cases that are not so much fun. There are stories that are not so much fun. You can't say it's good for everybody, but I understand why people like it. But I guess I don't understand why it's the one thing that you have to explain why you don't do it. Because some people might not have such a fun story, Some people are just, well, I'm trying to be healthier, and things like that. But that's always fascinating me.
I really love that conversation too. I was actually thinking about my friend. I grew up in Santa Cruz County. I have a lot of friends who are vegetarian and vegan, but I remember specifically one of my friends in college who was a vegetarian who found himself in these conversations that were really arguments all the time, just because when we were out eating, he wouldn't, he'd sometimes have to make special requests because he didn't want any meat on his plate, So I'm sure there's some vegetarians that just through process of solidarity might want to gravitate towards Hairless Dog as well. Also, going back to the whole holding things in your hand, I don't even think these guys know it. I was a cigarette smoker for a couple of years when I was in college. Yeah, true story. It was about, and part of the addictive thing for me was needing something to hold in my hand and a reason to sometimes just be alone or sometimes start a conversation surrounding this ritualistic type of thing. So I think there is a lot of that too. It might be a safe way for somebody to kind of place maybe their addictive personalities somewhere else as well. But I will also say this: when I was a cigarette smoker, I actually did judge people when I offered them a cigarette. They said they didn't smoke. And I said, come on, you're 8. Just try it already.
Well, that leads me to another question.
Special.
That leads me to another question, and our not a question, but eliciting an opinion. Hey, you're 8. Why don't you just try it? But most places, and why can't I be in focus, for goodness sakes? Places are still requiring IDs to purchase a 0.0% alcohol beverage. And I don't quite understand some of the reasonings that have been behind it. It's like we don't want to promote the future use of alcohol. Well, wouldn't it be nice if we were just promoting a flavorful beverage that doesn't have alcohol in it? So maybe those underage drinkers wouldn't necessarily feel the need to graduate to alcoholic beverages. What do you think about that, Jeff Hollander?
I think I'm going to start marketing to 8-year-olds tomorrow. You know how wide that demo is,
right?
Oh, it's actually shrinking because people aren't having enough kids.
Yeah, that's
well,
true.
Then this brings me back to, I remember when I was probably like 10, and I said to my dad, like, I really wish I knew what beer tasted like, but the whole alcohol thing, he's like, I'll buy you some non-alcoholic beer if you really want some. I'm like, okay. And he came home with whatever, say Polly Girl or something like that. And I sat down and I had a couple sips. Dad's sitting on the porch with me, drinking some non-alcoholic beer. I had a couple sips and I'm like, okay, I'm good, Dad. Thanks.
Well, hops is a mature taste. So,
but I will say, I think if Hairless Dog were around back then, and my dad knew better, maybe I would have developed a palate for hops a little bit earlier in my life.
Is that
I remember drinking.
Go ahead, Jeff.
No, I was going to say, I remember drinking, like in high school, I remember drinking non-alcoholic beer and real, full strength beer too, to be fair. But I remember drinking non-alcoholic beer and eating pizza and watching movies and feeling like a king. It was kind of like one of those things I could grab a soda or a non-alcoholic beer. And I had always just kind of had an affinity for it. I don't know if we had it around, I drank it. Probably wasn't legal, but
But is that like people have to show their ID to be able to buy this?
Yeah, in most
I don't think so.
places, that's what I've read anyway.
You know what, John? I think that might honestly depend on store policy, more than anything else. Just like back when I was a cigarette smoker in college, and I was 19 years old, and I walked into Walgreens or whatever, and they wouldn't sell me a pack of Camel Lights because I'm a weirdo and I smoke Camel Lights, and they said, sorry, you have to be 21. I'm like, no, you don't. This is California, baby. And they went, yeah, but this is Walgreens, mofo. And they kicked me out. I bet you there's a lot of like stores that just kind of, as they get certain things in, they just look at it and they label it, especially with so many, 0.5% alcohol beers, even though technically that should be classified as non-alcoholic if it's less than 0.5%. Like a teenager can go in and buy some regular kombucha, which has a little bit of alcohol. You're not going to get carded for that. You shouldn't. And you shouldn't be carded for this, right? But I'm sure there are, folks that, my goodness, Jeff, if they had a conversation with you, I think they'd be on their side. But I'm sure there are some folks that go, you're trying to pitch good flavor to people so they eventually become alcohol drinkers. But I think a quick conversation, and anyone who looks at your website knows that that's absolutely not the case. This isn't like Winston-Salem starting to sell fucking banana flavored vape juice. This is, you guys are doing your own thing, right?
Well, I can promise you we're not in beer with, I'm sorry. Let me try that again. Take two. Action. I can promise you that we are not in cahoots with big beer and trying to, with the conspiracy theory, to get people to like, well, someday we'll turn consumers into all of them, and by we're by giving them this product first. No, I mean, we make non-alcoholic beer, and that's all we do. So some people will be like, you know what, let's give little something to, we make our billions over here off of the full strength stuff, and then let's give something, a little, let's do something NA, something cute for the NA crowd. NA is all we do. So that's what we drink. That's what we focus on. We want to make the boldest, most interesting non-alcoholic beers out there. We have and here's one thing I didn't mention. We have 3 new styles coming out in 2021. So right now we have we have our coffee is going to become a seasonal. So that one you can't find in stores right now, but we're down to the 3, but we'll have 3 more styles on the market in 2021. So again, we're all in on making non-alcoholic 0.0 beer.
You're going to leave us hanging on the 3 styles?
What are they?
Well, I can't tell you, because if I told you, my PR team would kill me because it's too early. But okay. I promise you that I'm going to get you guys samples. And then I would love to get, even if you just like at the end of a show, just mentioned it, cracked open the new style, and I would love to get your opinion. But yeah, we're focusing on some stuff. We're going all in on this. And
awesome.
Again, all we want to make is non-alcoholic beer, and we want to make it the best possible. And it's got to be 0.0, or it's not non-alcoholic.
I think a Hefeweizen would turn out really well.
I think a Hefeweizen would turn out really good.
And I get it. Part of it too is it depends on what it tastes like after you make it. You might have to change the name. But all I'm saying is, I'm throwing this out here. You do what you do. Like a big 16-ounce can with a nitro widget inside of it with like a dry stout, I think would be pretty fucking baller around St. Patty's Day next year.
I'm feeling that. We are. We've been talking about that one. That's a very likely possibility.
That would be pretty amazing. All right, one last questions if you got them, John.
I don't have one.
All right,
Yeah.
Jeff.
I was wondering if you could send me 4 of these cans of the Citra Lager, but change it so it says that it's exactly 5% alcohol in it. I want to challenge somebody to a beer mile.
All right, we'll do. Honestly, let me see if I can come up with something, dude. We'll try to sleeve something.
Awesome. Yeah. I
want to hear how that turns out too.
Yeah. And you guys asked my last question, and then I was going to ask about what you had new coming up. So yeah, you guys have ran through all my questions as well. So Jeff, is there anything that we missed that you wanted to get out to people? Anything else that you wanted to touch on?
No, man, just be on the lookout for us. I mean, 2021 is a big year for us. There's a ton of new stuff coming out, and we have a lot of exciting changes coming out. COVID was weird for non-alcoholic. Turns out people don't buy a whole lot of non-alcoholic beer during pandemic times. Who knew?
Who knew?
But 2021, honestly, in 2020 we really doubled down on our recipes and redeveloping, tweaking, coming up with new styles. We have a lot of exciting things that we want to share with people, and we're just so flattered to be a part of your podcast, because when I first heard that you guys wanted to have me on, I'm like, do they know what I'm all about? But it made for a fun show, and you guys are hilarious. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you. I definitely, like, when we started talking about it, I really wanted to have you guys on, because this non-alc thing, you talked about the pandemic, the non-alc thing, was very heavily focused in the spirit kind of world. And it was just like meteoric in how it was taken off going into 2020. And then COVID had to just wreck all that for everybody. But it's great seeing this product. I can't tell you how many times you get done mowing the lawn, you get done doing something, you're like, God, a beer sounds good, but I just don't want to right now, because it's 2 p.m. or what. And if I have one, I'll have another, and then I'm going to be asleep on the couch. So I think this is a great thing you guys got. I think it's a great opportunity here. And like you were saying, I don't think it has to be specifically a market for people that don't drink. I think there's room for all of us there. So
I think it's an alternative.
Totally.
And I was listening to something just as I was coming home, and who knows how scientific this poll was, but they said during the pandemic, 33% of people, 40% of people gained between 15 and 20 pounds. That's not me. 33% of people exercised about 50% less. That is me.
100% less.
And 33% of people increase their alcohol consumption. That's not me, but still, that, so maybe as people trend out of that and they want something flavorful because they missed that beer, this is going to be a good place to go.
I think so. All right. Well, even though we're drinking non-alc, I still got a call.
Last call.
Last call. Time to clean house and lock the doors. Folks, you know what we do here? We're looking for a little bit of help from you. John Ruyak, if the folks want to follow us on the social media platforms, how can they do so?
Well, there's a couple of those, or actually thrice of those. And first of all is Instagram, and that's We Like Drinking One. No? Oh, that's Twitter is We Like Drinking One. Yeah, there we go. I haven't screwed it up in months. Come on.
Because you're sober.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. It's like the WKRP episode.
Hit the button.
Yeah, faster as you went on.
faster. Yeah, that's right. So what was it? Twitter. Yeah, Twitter's We Like Drinking One. That's the numeral one. Instagram's just We Like Drinking, but the coolest place is the tavern. That's welikedrinking.com/tavern. Invite only. We say yes to just about everybody.
That's our private Facebook group. Jeff Hollander, once again, if the folks want to follow you on social media or find you on the web, where can they find you?
Well, you can find me on a Craigslist near you if you have that sort of. You can find me on Instagram at Grillilla. It's Grillilla. It's a weird name. I don't know what it means, but I went with it. Grillilla on Instagram. And you can always give me a shout at drinkhairlessdog.com. If you send us an email, I will get it. And I love hearing from people, their experiences, and their ideas too. That's where you can find me, my friends.
Excellent. You just opened the floodgate. Jeff Solomon's going to send you like 30 emails on how to make your business better. Speaking of Jeff Solomon, if the folks want to leave us a review of the show, where can they do so?
Hey, so those of you watching live, as you ought to do every Tuesday around 7:30-ish Pacific time at welikedrinking.com/show, or just directly on YouTube, finding the We Like Drinking page. Go ahead and take a moment, like, subscribe, leave a comment, ding the bell, all that fun stuff. But those of you listening to audio only, take a look at your phones for once in your life. Scroll on down in your podcast catcher app till you find those 5 empty stars. Fill those mofos up and leave a comment through your phone's autofill function. 15 words, whatever they are, that's what you're putting, and we will read it on this show. Eccles might figure out who you are. I'll promise that he's going to send you a sticker. It could happen.
And if you've done all that and you're looking to do more, consider becoming a patron of the show by visiting welikedrinking.com/pledge. Find out there's all the levels you become from $1 a month on up. You get the show before everybody else gets it. You can get stickers. You can get t-shirts. You can get coffee mugs. You can get all the things. You can tell us what to drink, like Kristen had us drinking sours last week. So find out more, welikedrinking.com/pledge. You can also find the show notes for this episode with all the links to the stories or mentions we had at welikedrinking.com/episodes. All right. We went a little long. Sorry about that. We were having a lot of fun, but we have reached the time of the show where I get to say, okay, panel, let's take one last trip around this table and get some final thoughts before we shut off the lights. John Ruyak.
Oh, okay, folks, no one cares that I found my first rattlesnakes or other snakes of the year this past week, so no one cares about that. But what you should care about is the fact that we were walking around the neighborhood and I heard our first hummingbird. So get out your hummingbird feeders, boil them, sanitize them, put them out for those funny little things, but don't be a dweeb. Don't use the stuff with the red dye in it. Just mix the sugar and put it in there. It's fun.
Fun. Jeff Solomon.
Fun. So some of you may have caught just randomly through the show out of nowhere, I started chuckling because my wife sent me a funny text, and I'm going to read it right now. She sent me a meme, but I think that it goes well with the topic. Let's say that you're at a party, you're drinking some non-alcoholic brews, whatever the case may be. Maybe you're a vegetarian and you make a special order because you just don't feel like eating meat. I have a magic spell for you for protection against any unwanted opinions. Okay, you got to start by taking a cleansing deep breath. And then you say the words, "Did I fucking ask you?" Repeat until desired effect is achieved. Blessed be.
Can you reframe all that in the form of a Venn diagram like you have on your sweatshirt?
Oh, so funny.
Jeff Hollander. As you can see, anything goes in this final little bit, but any final thoughts before we let you get out of here?
The other day when I was in the shower, it dawned on me. I'm like, why do we use the term something is on fire? I mean, fire is never You're not on fire. The object is not on fire. The fire is on you. Why do we say on fire? It should be the fire is on that. I don't know. Did I get the gist of this correct?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like, I gotta say, as my day job, when it's not a COVID year, I'm in a high school science lab. So the next time a student has their clothes catch on fire and they start running around like crazy, going, "I'm on fire! I'm on fire!" I stop them, I throw them down, I start rolling them around, and I go, "Get it right! The fire's on you!"
Please do that, Jeff Solomon. Make
I will.
sure
I'll let you know.
Make sure you're wearing your GoPro that day, please.
It's getting interviewed by the local news. It's like, and it was traumatic, but then my teacher made a joke.
Jeff Hollander, thank you so much for taking time out of your vacation time, about to go do the pew-pews tomorrow. But thank you for taking time to join us for the show. It was a lot of fun having you. It was a lot of fun getting to experience what you guys are producing. And I think you guys are as you've seen your rise, I think it's just going to keep going, because if you're looking for a non-alcoholic beer, this is probably the most flavorful and tasty one you're going to find. So thank you so much for what you're doing, and thank you for joining us tonight.
The pleasure's mine. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And with that, I'll say thanks again for joining us at the We Like Drinking podcast,
Where you'll never drink alone.
Oh, we're even getting fist bumps in the chat now. There you go, Brad.
I figured it out. I was looking at my luxurious hair today in the mirror, and nobody even commented that I shaved my beard. But whatever, everybody in the chat.
Whatever.
But I figured it out. I was looking at myself. I'm like, I look really good. And you know why I look so good? Because with like the hair and everything, I'm like some sort of combination between Scott Stapp of Creed and remember the movie The Lost Boys? I'm the saxophone player.
the big
buff saxophone player with the oil.
dreads. Viewers,
Every Tuesday night. This is my life every Tuesday night.
And to think everybody thought it was the alcohol before. This is just how I am, everyone.
this is just what happens when we are all able to get away from everything and hang out with our friends. So viewers, thank you guys so much. We're going to get out of here. Good night, Laura. Good night, everybody. Hey, Jeff McKinney. Bye, Jeff McKinney.